A silent signal. The galaxy was busy with its endless politics. The council was meeting once again in its grand chamber. Hundreds of species spoke in proud voices, each one sure of their power, their fleets, their wealth. Yet in that moment of noise, something unusual happened. Across every communication channel, across every corner of the galaxy, a new sound broke through the static. At first it was only a faint crackle. Commanders frowned. Technicians adjusted their controls. Nobles raised their ridged brows in annoyance. They expected interference, nothing more. But then a voice came. It was not the cold tone of an alien empire. It was human, calm, deep, and steady. "This is Earth," the voice said, and instantly the chamber grew silent. The laughter and boasting ended. For centuries, the council had treated Earth as a minor world, a weak species, a death world by classification but never truly respected. They were thought to be too small, too fragile, too disorganized to matter. Yet here was their voice reaching across every star, louder than any empire's broadcast. "You demanded our surrender," the voice continued. "You demanded that humanity kneel. But you will not find Earth on its knees. You wanted war, then listen well. For you will have it." Gasps filled the chamber. Ambassadors looked at one another. Some laughed nervously. Some shifted uncomfortably. None of them expected this. The signal did not stop. It carried images. Shadows of massive shapes hidden in darkness. Outlines of warships no alien had ever seen. Black steel with burning engines like the eyes of predators. "They cannot have these ships," one alien whispered, his scales turning pale. "It is a trick. Humans cannot build fleets like this." But the voice spoke again, calm and steady. "We asked for peace, we asked for respect, we asked only to be left in peace on our world. Yet you sent fleets, you burned our colonies, you mocked our weakness, you demanded war. So now you will face the answer of humanity." The chamber trembled with the silence that followed, as if every empire was holding its breath. Some of the arrogant delegates laughed again. They told themselves it was only a bluff, a desperate trick from a dying species. Others did not laugh. They stared at the images. They remembered the whispers, the stories of patrol fleets that never returned, the shadows in the void. The human voice grew colder. "Your empires believe we are weak? Your rulers believe humanity has no teeth? They are wrong. We are the children of a death world. We survive storms, famine, fire, and endless war on our own soil. What we build to last. What we love, we protect until the last breath, and what we lose, we avenge." Every word carried weight. It was not the roar of anger. It was the steady certainty of a predator that has already chosen its prey. Across the stars, ordinary citizens paused their work to listen. Smugglers, merchants, soldiers, even children turned their heads to the sudden broadcast. For the first time, they heard humans speak not in weakness, not in diplomacy, but in warning. The alien council leader rose, his long arms raised to quiet the hall, but no one listened. Their eyes were fixed on the flickering hologram that now displayed Earth itself. Battered, scarred, but unbroken, the blue world turned slowly before them. Then came the final words, "Remember this transmission. Remember it well. You demanded war. Now you will see humanity's wrath, and when it comes, do not say you were not warned." The signal ended. Silence followed. Silence so deep it felt like the stars themselves were listening. In that silence, the arrogance of many began to crack. Doubt spread like fire because deep in their hearts, they all felt the same chilling truth. Earth was no longer silent. Earth was no longer weak. And the galaxy would never be the same again. The broken council, the council chamber, was never quiet. It was a place where empires showed their power with loud voices, banners, and threats. Yet after the transmission from Earth, silence clung to the air like a heavy shadow. Delegates shifted uneasily in their seats. Scales glimmered with nervous sweat. Feathers ruffled in fear. Some even avoided looking at one another. It was as if the voice of a single human had broken centuries of arrogance in one moment. At the center, the high speaker of the council rose, his tall frame glowing under the chamber's light. His four eyes narrowed as he struck his staff against the floor. "We will not be deceived," he declared, his voice loud and sharp. "This broadcast is nothing but a human trick, a desperate bluff from a dying world." But not everyone believed him. Whispers spread quickly. Ambassadors spoke in low voices. "What if it is true? What if they have fleets hidden in the dark?" one asked, his throat trembling. Another leaned closer. "I heard stories from the border. Entire patrols vanished, no wreckage, no signal. Only silence." The high speaker slammed his staff again. "Lies and rumors. Humanity has always been small. Weak and divided, they cannot hold against our combined fleets. We will crush their arrogance still. The chamber did not cheer. The usual laughter and mockery that followed such words were absent. Instead, there was unease, a growing fear that the human broadcast had planted deep inside every delegate's heart. One elder delegate, her skin pale and wrinkled, rose slowly. Her voice cracked but steady. "Do not forget the history of deathworlders," she said. "We catalogued Earth as a hostile world, a planet where survival itself was a daily war. What if humanity took that strength and turned it into something greater?" The hall trembled with nervous shifting. Some tried to shout her down. Others remained quiet, for the truth of her words was sharp and undeniable. Reports began to flood in. Ships had gone missing on the edges of unexplored space. Colonies had gone dark without explanation. Each report was dismissed as coincidence, yet when placed together they painted a terrifying picture. The High Speaker tried again to calm the storm. "Even if they have ships, they are nothing compared to the fleets of the Council," he said. But his voice no longer carried the same power. His words no longer filled the chamber with certainty. A young delegate from a smaller empire suddenly stood, his claws clicking against the floor. "You do not understand," he said, his voice trembling. "Humans are not bluffing." Their voice did not shake. Their words did not beg. They spoke like predators who already made their move. The chamber grew restless. Some nodded in agreement. Others shouted him down. The once united council now cracked with division. Meanwhile, outside the chamber, across the stars, ordinary beings argued in streets, in markets, in their homes. Some mocked the humans and called the broadcast a joke, but others felt fear, deep fear, for they remembered the look in the humans' eyes, cold, calm, and without doubt. Within hours, messages rushed across the galaxy. Leaders of great empires summoned their generals. Fleets were mobilized. Scouts were sent to the void to search for human activity. Yet no one admitted the truth. They were afraid. Afraid that for the first time in their long history, a prey species had turned into a hunter. Back in the chamber, the High Speaker's voice rose once more. "Then let us test their words. Let us send an armada to Earth itself. Let us burn their world and end this nonsense once and for all." The hall echoed with the sound of agreement, but it was not the sound of confidence. It was the sound of fear trying to cover itself with anger. And as the decision was made, deep in the shadows of space, ships no one had seen before drifted silently, their black hulls absorbing all light, waiting, watching, preparing. The Council thought itself strong, but cracks were spreading fast. The human broadcast had not only threatened them, it had poisoned their certainty, broken their unity, and planted doubt that would only grow stronger with every passing hour. The galaxy was no longer laughing at Earth. The galaxy was beginning to fear it. Shadows in the void far from the council chambers. Beyond the shining lanes of trade and empire patrols, there was a silence in space that grew heavier with each passing day. Ships that once moved freely through the outer routes began to vanish. No distress calls, no wreckage, only silence. At first, the empires dismissed these disappearances as pirate attacks or navigational accidents, but as the number grew, the excuses began to fail. Captains who survived spoke of shadows moving in the dark. Massive ships gliding without sound, their black hulls blending with the void, engines burning like ghostly eyes. One commander, pale and shaking, told his council, "We fired on them, but our weapons passed through their shields as if they were nothing. And then, before I could even breathe, half of my fleet was gone." The report was silenced, locked away, his testimony erased from official records. Yet whispers still spread in smoky taverns on mining worlds. Smugglers spoke of human warships that appeared out of nowhere, striking once and vanishing into the void in marketplaces. Traders swore they saw black steel ships stalking convoys before disappearing without a trace. The council tried to cover these stories, but the more they denied them, the stronger the rumors grew across the galaxy. Fear began to turn into belief. Meanwhile, in hidden corners of deep space, the truth unfolded. Humanity had not been idle in its silence. For decades, engineers, scientists, and soldiers worked in secret far from alien eyes. They built fleets in the black, using the lessons of their harsh world. Their ships were not designed for beauty or ceremony. They were designed for war, brutal, efficient, merciless. Each ship carried scars of Earth's history, armor forged with the memory of human wars, weapons shaped with the fire of survival. They were predators made of metal and will, and they waited silent, patient, unseen. Back in the council, leaders argued over the disappearances. Some claimed it was nonsense, others demanded action, but the reports could no longer be hidden. Too many fleets were missing. Too many colonies had gone dark. An envoy from the edge of the galaxy rose with trembling hands. "My people are gone," he whispered. An entire outpost gone in one night. No explosion, no warning, only silence, and in that silence, a voice, a human voice, it said, "You were warned." The chamber erupted. Fear and anger clashed like fire and storm. Empires that once laughed now began to doubt. Yet still, arrogance clung to some. "They are but insects hiding in shadows," one ruler shouted. "We will bring them into the light and crush them." But deep in his heart, even he felt the chill, for the void was not empty anymore. It belonged to something unseen, something waiting. Scouts sent to the uncharted reaches did not return. Their last transmissions filled with static, sometimes a faint echo of words that chilled even the bravest. "Brace yourselves," the whisper said. "Brace yourselves." The galaxy's empires, once certain of their supremacy, now moved their fleets with caution. Convoys changed routes. Colonies sent desperate requests for protection. The cost of fear was spreading like wildfire, and humanity said nothing more. Their silence was louder than 1,000 speeches. Their shadows spoke for them. For in the endless night of space, every empire now knew the humans were out there, hidden, watching, waiting, and soon the shadows would strike again. The first strike the Council believed it could not lose. Its fleets were vast. Its ships spread across the stars like waves upon an ocean, and yet fear lingered in the hearts of its rulers. To silence the whispers, they chose the boldest path. They would send an armada straight to Earth itself. Hundreds of warships gathered. Banners of a dozen empires glittered in the void. Their commanders boasted of how quickly they would burn a human world. They told themselves the human broadcast was only bravado. They told themselves humanity could never stand against such power. And so the great armada entered Sol, the heart of Earth's home. At first it seemed quiet. The planet below glowed blue and white. Fragile and small, the fleets moved forward with ease. Then the silence broke. Out of the void, shapes emerged. At first only shadows, then giants of steel. Their hulls black as night. Their weapons glowing with cold fire. The humans had come. Their ships did not announce themselves with music or banners. They came with silence. The silence of predators ready to strike. The alien commanders laughed nervously. "Primitive toys," one hissed. "They cannot match us," but before their words could settle, the first strike began. A single human ship moved. Faster than the eye could follow. Beams of pure energy cut through an alien cruiser as if it were paper. The massive vessel split apart in fire, its remains scattering across the stars. Panic filled the enemy channels, orders shouted, formations breaking. Yet the human ships moved with precision. They did not rush, they did not stumble. Every strike was calculated, every attack decisive. Alien shields failed, armor cracked. Ships that had ruled the stars for centuries were torn apart in minutes. And over the chaos, the same voice from the broadcast returned, cold and steady. "You brought your fleets to our home. You came with fire and arrogance, now you will see the fire you demanded." The words echoed on every frequency, and with each sentence another alien vessel fell in flames. Some tried to retreat, but the void closed on them. Human ships appeared from nowhere, surrounding, cornering, striking without mercy. The battle was not long, it was not drawn out. It was slaughter. In less than an hour, half the armada was gone. In 2 hours, the rest scattered in desperate retreat. The survivors fled, their once proud banners torn, their fleets broken, their confidence shattered. As they limped back to their empires, the message followed them, playing across every star. "This is the price of your war. This is the answer you demanded." The galaxy trembled. For the first time in living memory, the great empires had not crushed a small world. Instead, they had been humbled, cut down, and forced to run, and Earth, the fragile world they mocked, still stood unbroken. But the humans did not cheer, they did not gloat, they remained silent. Their ships vanished back into the void, leaving only wreckage and fire behind. To the galaxy, that silence was worse than words. For silence meant confidence, silence meant certainty. Silence meant the humans were not done, and everyone knew this was only the beginning. Wrath unleashed, the galaxy reeled after the defeat at Sol. Never before had the Council's armadas been broken so completely. Never before had empires tasted fear from what they once called a weak world. But humanity did not wait. They did not pause to celebrate. They moved from the void. The black fleets emerged, one after another. Ships that had been hidden for decades now revealed themselves. their numbers far greater than the empires had imagined. Convoys of enemy supplies vanished overnight. Colonies that once believed themselves untouchable woke to find human warships in orbit. Their banners burned, their defenses crushed in moments. The humans did not act with blind rage. They acted with precision. They struck where it hurt most. Fuel depots, shipyards, command stations, all erased in silence and fire. Alien admirals gathered in desperate councils, their voices shaking. How did they move so fast? How did they strike from nowhere, they asked. But no answer came, for humans had mastered the art of patience. They had studied their enemies in silence, learned their patterns, their weaknesses, their pride. And when the moment came, they struck with surgical cruelty across the stars. The once proud empires began to fracture. Rulers argued with generals, soldiers deserted. Citizens whispered in markets, "The humans are coming." Nothing can stop them. On distant worlds, alien children drew pictures of black ships with burning eyes. Their parents shivered, for even the young could feel the truth. And still the human broadcast echoed, a simple phrase repeated across frequencies. "We did not want this war, but you demanded it. Now you will face humanity's wrath." The words struck deeper than weapons, for they carried no boasting, no arrogance, only cold certainty. Entire sectors turned dark. Fleets sent to intercept never returned. Commanders reported shadows in the void that seemed to swallow whole armadas. One alien captain described his last sight before his ship fell silent. A wall of steel, endless ships, black as the night itself surrounding us. And then, nothing. The galaxy now feared the silence more than the fire, for silence meant the humans were near, watching, waiting, ready. Meanwhile, smaller species, long oppressed by the council, began to whisper with hope. For if humans could humble the great empires, then perhaps the age of fear could finally end. But the council was not ready to admit defeat. They summoned their remaining fleets. They promised vengeance. They promised to reclaim their pride, yet deep down even they knew every battle only made the legend of humanity grow. And with every strike, the truth became clearer. Humanity was not defending anymore. They were advancing. No longer was Earth the hunted prey. No longer was humanity mocked and dismissed. Now they were predators. Now they were the storm sweeping across the stars. The galaxy had demanded war, and now humanity was answering with wrath. The shattered thrones, the galaxy was changing. The great thrones of alien rulers that once stood untouchable now trembled. In glittering palaces, monarchs who once mocked humanity now whispered in fear. Their guards doubled, their ships hidden, yet even behind walls of steel they felt unsafe. Because the humans had become a storm, and storms could not be contained, world after world fell, not always in fire, sometimes in silence. Leaders awoke to find their fleets gone, their supply lines severed, their colonies cut off. The council itself cracked. Voices that once spoke in unity now screamed at one another. Some demanded peace, others demanded vengeance, but none could deny the truth. Humanity had shattered their pride. On the throne world of a great empire, a ruler known for his cruelty stood before his people, promising strength, promising victory. Yet even as he spoke, the skies above his capital darkened. Black ships descended, silent and vast, their shadows stretching across the city. And for the first time, the people of that empire saw what their rulers had feared to admit. Humanity had come for them. The throne was shattered in one night. The empire that had ruled for centuries crumbled like dust. News spread like wildfire, every world, every colony. Every palace heard the same whispers. The humans are here. No throne is safe. Some rulers fled into exile, hiding in remote systems. Others begged the council for protection. But the council itself was breaking apart, its strength and illusion now torn to pieces. Alien generals tried to rally what fleets they had left, but their soldiers were not the same. Once fearless, they now hesitated. Their hands shook, their voices cracked, because when they closed their eyes, they saw the human ships, black and endless, waiting in the void. Meanwhile, in the shadows, humanity spoke again, their voice calm, steady, unshaken. "We warned you, but you did not listen. You demanded war. Now see the ruins you have brought upon yourselves." The message was not only heard, it was felt. It was the final hammer that broke what little courage the empire still carried. In markets, citizens tore down the banners of their rulers, whispering of rebellion in streets. Workers refused orders in colonies. Governors abandoned their posts. It was not only human fleets breaking the galaxy, it was the fear of humanity itself spreading like a plague. tearing at the roots of every empire. The thrones that once gleamed with jewels now stood empty, cracked and forgotten, for the galaxy had entered a new age, the age of humanity's wrath, and everyone knew. The final message had yet to come, the final broadcast. The galaxy lay in ruins, not from human conquest alone, but from fear, from doubt, from the silence that followed wherever the black fleets passed. The once mighty thrones of emperors and queens stood shattered, their banners burned, their palaces abandoned, their fleets scattered like ash in the void, and in that silence humanity spoke once more. Across every star, on every channel, the voice returned, calm, steady, unbroken. "This is Earth," it said, and every being froze. Children stopped playing, merchants stopped trading, soldiers stopped marching, because they knew these words carried the weight of history. "You demanded war," the voice continued, "and we gave you the answer you forced upon us. You thought us weak, you thought us prey, yet now you see. Humanity does not kneel. Humanity does not break." The words cut deeper than any blade, for they were not spoken with hatred. They were spoken with certainty. Images filled the skies, not of conquest, not of thrones claimed, but of ruins, burning fleets, shattered palaces, broken crowns, all the wreckage of arrogance. Then the voice spoke again, softer, colder. "We did not want this. We never desired to rule your stars. We only asked for peace. But you demanded our destruction. You demanded our surrender. You demanded war. And so we answered." The galaxy listened, trembling. "We will not be your overlords," the voice declared. "We will not enslave, we will not conquer. But remember this, remember it well. Earth forgives slowly, Earth forgets never. And should you ever again raise your hand against us, you will see the wrath you have already tasted." Across the stars, silence followed. The kind of silence that came not from peace, but from fear too heavy to breathe on alien worlds. Rulers bowed their heads on battlefields. Soldiers dropped their weapons. In markets, citizens whispered one truth: the humans have spoken. And the black fleets, those endless shadows of steel, began to fade back into the void. Not conquered worlds left behind, but warnings, reminders, scars that no one would ever erase in the council chamber. Once the heart of galactic pride, only emptiness remained, for its power was broken, its voice silenced, its arrogance shattered. The galaxy had a new center now, not by force of empire, but by fear of consequence. The humans had no need to crown themselves rulers. The galaxy itself had crowned them in silence. As the final words echoed, they carved themselves into the hearts of every species. "You demanded war," the human voice repeated one last time. "And you have faced humanity's wrath. Never forget this day. Never forget our silence, for silence is when we are watching." The broadcast ended. The channels cleared. The stars were quiet once again. But nothing was the same, because the galaxy would never again see Earth as weak, never again see humanity as prey, never again laugh at the children of a death world. They would remember, they would whisper, they would fear, and in that fear the legend of humanity was born. The final broadcast had been given, and it would echo through the stars forever.